Hey YouTube, I'm just making my breakfast and also my lunch for tomorrow. So I'm having an overnight oat, which is just simple and easy and quick and good for you. Speaking of good for you things that you can eat, I didn't used to eat much of it and got told that I was almost diabetic, pre-diabetic. So it was really the start of my fitness journey, and it was quite the start actually. I had just finished having my hip replaced essentially. I was maybe 6 months after and had sort of had all the things going on with the kid's mum passing and all of this stuff, and I really sought solace in food, and I ate until I was feeling sick just about every day really. I would finish work, I'd go to KFC. It was sort of my free time really. I'd go to KFC and get like a snack lunch combo. I would take it to just around the corner from where I picked Molly up from her daycare and sit there for, this was after I finished work, I'd sit there for maybe 10-15 minutes just eating my KFC and reading a book. I needed a bit of time like that back then, but I really needed to not take that bit of time while I was that particular bit of time. It was just it was a bit much food really. It was just it did me in, but it meant that I got told that I was pre-diabetic during a blood test. I got a blood test and the nurse rang a few days later, and it kicked everything off because I hadn't up to that point been able to do anything about my hips. I hadn't been able to sort of do anything about any of it, except I stopped taking any methadone and have a bit of equal in this rather than having some sugar. I got off the methadone though, which was a big step, and I'd been given something I could really control. So once I was told that I was pre-diabetic, it was just a kick in the teeth. It made me decide that I wanted to change the way I was, and so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I joined up at a gym and told my personal trainer that I hired myself that I really just wanted to get a little bit more healthy and lose some weight. And it all began, and it was the most challenging part of it was the food. It was just replacing bad foods that I'd been eating with really healthy ones and making good choices and positive food choices. I slowly got myself completely off sugar, and what else did I do? Really, I just got off sugar. I stopped drinking so much fizzy drink, like energy drinks and stuff. They were bad, and I just slowly cut one thing out at a time. First I started not having sugar in my hot drinks and my coffee. I just went down a sugar and then went down another sugar until I was like, well, I might as well stop. And so I did. I got myself completely away from eating a bad lifestyle, and I was working out heaps, and really for the first time in my life started feeling healthy. I started feeling like my body liked me, and I never had up to that point. So I worked out, and oh my god, I worked out. Those first few sessions were just so hard. I remember doing like just a warm up. All I did was the warm up before I did some resistance training, but the warm up was a 5-minute ride, and I couldn't talk the whole time I was riding. I just couldn't talk. And looking back, where I had the bike set at, it was just ridiculous. I could now these days I could ride that for 5 minutes and not even break a sweat and talk the whole way through. It was just like a quiet walk, but it was enough for me. It did me in, and slowly but surely the changes sort of started happening, and then I had a blood test, I don't know, maybe another 6 months later, and I remember asking my doctor if I'd passed the test, and he said, yes, you passed with flying colours. So it really set me up to know that I could do it, that I could do something, and that I did have some control over my own health. And it's morphed into, now I've decided I've also got some control over my career, and hence I'm studying to become a personal trainer, and life's looking good. But it was that one moment that nurse called me. She called up and said I was pre-diabetic. That was the defining moment in my life, to really want to start turning things around and make some changes. And now I have overnight oats for breakfast as opposed to things like Nutrigrain, and it saves my wallet and it also saves my health. This I wasn't saying while I was putting any of the ingredients in, but it's got I don't know, probably a third or half a cup of oats. It's got 1 scoop of protein powder and some chia seeds and a couple of dates, and it's got just a teaspoon of artificial sweetener, which means that it'll be very sweet for breakfast, really sweet, but also quite healthy. And it's a great way to make your breakfast, and I make it my lunch as well most days. So this has taken me the space of a probably 5 or 10 minute long YouTube video to do, and it's a breakfast that will taste really good. I'll have a coffee with it, which will fill me up just as much as this will, so I can. At the moment, I'm not really worrying too much about my weight, but when I do want to cut again, I'll probably have 2/3 of that amount, or even half, and the coffee will be more than enough to keep me going until lunchtime, at which time I'll have another one, and an apple and a muesli bar, and that's sort of enough to keep my weight at least under control. But I don't have to do all that much sort of monitoring of my size anymore like I used to. I used to really track and have to think, what should I have and how should I do it, and now these days I really just eat. I really just follow a diet that seems sensible, and if I feel like a big snack, I'll have one, and a lot of the time I don't feel like that. So the hard time for me is still nights. So I've still got that food addiction, I really do. I just sat down and had a massive bowl of ice cream with lollies and stuff all over it. I'll try and make protein ice cream and stuff a lot of the time, so that I'm not having real ice cream, because it's so high in calories and bad for you. But occasionally I do, because it's nicer, but it's not too much nicer, and having protein ice cream instead just makes it tolerable, especially dealing and working around a food addiction. I don't think it ever really goes away. I'm quite capable of binging now, and binging. So what I'm really trying to do is find a way to sort of work within how I'm feeling. So I'll eat, but I'll try and eat foods that aren't going to contribute to massive weight gain, and that way I can just go and eat when I want to, which is great as a person who is quite addicted to food, and it's certainly something that I don't think I'm ever going to be completely rid of. Partly I sort of don't want to be, because food's awesome, but it's not as awesome as I used to think it was. So I think we'll end it there today and carry on with my evening. But thanks again, YouTube. Don't forget to click the like button and do the subscribe and stuff. It certainly will help me get some viewership. Alright, let's do it then. Come on. Before I go, I know he had a big knot on his back, and it got too big there was no way I could manage it, so he had to go in and get himself a haircut, and now he's a little bald, tiny wee skiff of a thing. He did get some anaesthesia to get the haircut, and when he came home he was quite drunk, but he was quite happy about how he was feeling, so he went outside and started batting a stone or a bone or something around, and fell into a huge stinging nettle bush, and didn't like that very much. I think he got a little bit tangled. He got himself out quick enough, but it didn't seem fair. It really didn't. So we gave him a bit extra dinner. Oh, well, thanks, YouTube.